Today, we're diving into a micronutrient that, let's be honest, most of us probably don't think about much: iodine. But, as you're about to see, this simple element quietly plays a massive role in our health, our development, and, yeah, even our intelligence. Let's get right into it.
So what does this number mean? Well, this is the estimated loss in global intelligence, an average of 13.5 IQ points that's been caused by iodine deficiency. That is not a small number. It's literally the difference between entire populations reaching their full cognitive potential or not. This is a huge public health issue, and it just goes to show how high the stakes are when we talk about this one single nutrient.
Okay, so to really understand why iodine is so critical, we gotta start with the basics. What is it and what's its main job in the body? Let's take a look.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that phrase, master regulators. Think of your body like a complex economy. Your thyroid hormones, they're the central bank, controlling pretty much everything, from your energy levels to your body temperature to how your brain develops. And iodine? Iodine is the raw material. It's the gold in the vault that the bank needs to function. Without it, the whole economy just grinds to a halt.
And here's the thing you have to understand. Our bodies cannot produce a single atom of iodine. We are 100% dependent on our diet. This is why our thyroid gland has evolved to be incredibly, almost magically efficient at capturing it. In times when there's not much around, it can actually scavenge over 80% of the iodine from our bloodstream. It's this masterful adaptation for a resource it absolutely cannot live without.
Now, this need for iodine isn't a flat line. There's one specific time in life when the demand for this precious resource doesn't just increase, it absolutely skyrockets. And that time is pregnancy.
For a typical adult, the recommended daily intake of iodine is about 150 micrograms, okay? Just keep that number in your head, because we're about to see a pretty dramatic change. And there it is, boom. During pregnancy, the daily requirement jumps all the way to 250 micrograms, and some recommendations push it even closer to 300. We're talking about an increase of nearly 70%. So the big question is, where is all that extra iodine going? This chart breaks it down perfectly. It's a two-part story. First, the mother's thyroid hormone production goes into complete overdrive to support the pregnancy. And second, a really significant amount of iodine is transferred directly to the fetus. And the reason for this is absolutely critical. The fetus needs that iodine to build its own thyroid hormones, which are essential for building a healthy brain.
So we've got this massive increase in demand. But, most of us live in countries that have supposedly solved iodine deficiency. So that leads to a really crucial question. Are our public health measures truly enough for this incredibly vulnerable group?
For decades, the global strategy has been pretty simple and, honestly, pretty effective. Just add iodine to table salt. It's called universal salt iodization, or USI. And for the general population, it has been a spectacular success story, preventing all sorts of health issues around the world. So most of us just assume the problem is solved.
But here is where our story takes a really surprising turn. What if this incredibly successful solution has a blind spot? What happens when we look a little closer at the iodine status of pregnant women, even in so-called iodine-sufficient nations?
Okay, let's break this down into plain English. UIC, or urinary iodine concentration, is just how we measure iodine levels. For pregnant women, the goal is 150 micrograms per liter. What this is telling us is that even though the average in the US looks okay, it's hiding the fact that a big chunk of pregnant women are actually falling below that critical line. They're borderline deficient. And this makes it even more stark. This isn't just some statistical quirk. In a study from a major US city, Boston, nearly half of the pregnant women weren't getting enough iodine, and a really concerning 9% were severely deficient. This isn't a problem happening somewhere far away. This is happening right in our own backyards.
And as you can see here, it's not just the US. We see the same pattern pop up again and again all across the developed world. In countries like Iran, China, Australia, and England, the school-age kids have enough iodine because of the SALT programs, but pregnant women are falling through the cracks. They are consistently and worryingly showing up as deficient.
So why is this happening? Well, a big part of the answer lies in a conflict between two different public health messages, a debate about one of the most common things in our kitchen: salt.
So here's the dilemma. On one hand, we're told to use iodized salt to get enough iodine, but on the other hand, for decades, we've been told to cut back on our salt intake for our heart health. So as people consciously reduce their salt, or maybe they switch to those trendy specialty salts like sea salt or Himalayan pink salts, which often aren't iodized, they might be unknowingly cutting off their main supply of this absolutely critical nutrient.
Of course, the solution isn't to just start consuming massive amounts of iodine. There is an upper limit. The World Health Organization says that taking in over 500 micrograms a day is excessive. Too much iodine can actually backfire and stop the production of thyroid hormones. So, like with everything in nutrition, balance is absolutely key.
All right, for the final part of our explainer, let's zoom out. We've been really focused on iodine's starring role in the thyroid. But recent research is starting to reveal that this element has a few other incredible tricks up its sleeve. This slide just shows how versatile iodine really is. It is not just for the thyroid. It acts as a super potent antioxidant, protecting our cells from all sorts of damage. It's part of our body's first line of defense, fighting off bacteria and viruses. And get this, studies are showing it can even trigger cell death in certain types of cancer cells. It's incredible.
I love this quote because it puts iodine in a totally new light. It suggests that before life on Earth even developed complex things like thyroid glands, it was using iodine for a much more basic, fundamental purpose, as a primitive shield and ancient antioxidant, protecting the very first cells from a harsh environment. It's just a profound idea to think about.
And that brings us to our final thought. You know, iodine is a great reminder that sometimes the simplest things hold the most surprise and complexity. It really makes you wonder, what other simple vitamins and minerals, the ones we take for granted every single day, are hiding secret superpowers that we have yet to fully understand? It's a fascinating question, isn't it?